See, we come in here and we make these resolutions to turn our will and our life over to God in the same way we used to resolve not to drink again. And then we drink again. Okay? Yeah, all that is a firm resolution. It's a promise. You bet. Self-willed kind of thing. See, it's not a humble decision, see, to turn our will and our life over to God as we understood. Okay? See, so once we have taken steps 1, 2, and 3 now, see, we have something to rely on to complete the remainder of the steps. So you don't have to rely on yourself, see, once you have taken step 3. See, now you can rely on the power of God as you understand Him. See, to do step 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, you're not on your own anymore. See, up to step 3, you're pretty much on your own, except with whoever you're working with in AA who's trying to pass this thing on to you. See, but once you make a decision, see, now you got some spiritual help, see, as you go through the process. You don't have to rely on yourself. Okay? See, and literally, it's the only way that the remainder of the steps can be done. See, you may have seen something that I see happen all the time in AA, which is people who are constantly writing 4 steps, even after many years of sobriety. Anybody ever seen that? Yeah. And they're going nuts. See, and they sit, and they tell everybody in the room, well, see, it doesn't get any better, and I'm writing my 6th 4-step and my 10th 4-step, and I got 12 years, and I'm See, this is somebody who's doing it all on self-will. See, and so they never got their house clean. See, so they're constantly trying to do it. See, and they're still doing it on self-will. Here's all this anger and resentment. See, they still haven't found any peace of mind. Still got all this regret of the past. Still hate their mom, hate their husband, hate their wife, hate their kids. See, and all this kind of stuff goes on. See, this is not psychology we're talking about. See, we're not looking for answers. We're looking for God. See? Are you clear about the difference? See? We're not looking for answers. We're not looking for self-awareness. See? We're looking for an experience of God. That's what this is all about. See? Psychology is looking for answers. See? Psychology deals with feelings. See? That's not what we're doing here. That's not what spiritual recovery is about. We are looking for, inside ourselves, for an experience of a power greater than ourselves. Okay, so the decision, see, is what allows us then to launch into a course of action, which is the remainder of the steps. Okay, step 4 then, see, follows step 3. Remember the phone number? You've got to dial all the numbers, and you got to dial them in order to get through. Okay, see, so step 3, notice that step 3 doesn't say made a decision to do a 4th and 5th step, does it? No, it's a decision to turn our will and our life over to God. Now, how do we do that? We start with a 4th step. See? 4th step is not some be-all, end-all magic step in Alcoholics Anonymous. It's just one step in a process, see, of cleaning house such that you can become spiritually awakened. That's all it is. There's nothing voodoo or mysterious about it. See, we're not looking for answers here. Okay? So we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. The word inventory, you might put it in the margin there, means written list. Okay? Look it up in your dictionary. Inventory doesn't say we thought about our resentments and talked about them at meetings. Okay? It is a written list. So made, past tense, a searching and fearless moral inventory of who? Ourselves. Okay, now ask yourself, whose inventory do you take most of the time? Yours or somebody else's? Take somebody else's? That's what I used to do. See, and I thought that would work. It doesn't work. See, we learn, I mean, if you're somebody, I've been into a lot of stuff before I came to AA, and even in AA, self-help and New Age things, and psychology books, and just an endless array of things, which gave me a whole lot of knowledge. See, and a lot of us have a whole lot of knowledge about a whole lot of things, and then we use it to categorize everybody else. See? Oh, I see what's wrong with Charlie. I see what's wrong with Charlie. See? I see Rick's problem. Boom, like that. Anybody do that? Wham, gotcha. See, I can understand that. See, and we don't have a clue what's going on with us. See, it seems to be useless to us, see, in learning about ourselves, because we keep doing the same things over and over and over again, regardless of how much knowledge we have about what's going on with other people. Have you seen that in your own experience? See, so if that's true about you and you keep doing it, what's going to happen? You're going to end up drunk, you bet. If you're an alcoholic like I am, that'll get you nowhere but drunk. Okay? So we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. So that's part of the decision. Are you decided, to do that? Are you committed to do that? There are clear-cut instructions that run from page 64 to page 71 in this chapter that tell us precisely how to go about doing the searching and fearless moral inventory. These instructions are all about writing down a lot of stuff in 3 sections. First one is resentment and anger. The second one is fear in our life. And the third one has to do with sex, sexuality, and relationships. See, are you willing to face that stuff in yourself? Because that is the 4th step. See? If you're not willing, don't even start. See? That's part of the decision. See, that's part of how we go about cleaning house, see, and having an experience of God. Is we're either going to do it or we're not going to do it. Ain't no try. Okay? See, now we're going to go over those instructions completely and thoroughly in this book study if you want to do it, if you're willing to take the step. Okay? There are a lot of other methods of doing 4th steps being passed out in Alcoholics Anonymous and treatment centers and recovery houses. See, almost every sponsor in AA has their own version. Every treatment center has their own version. Hazelden puts out pamphlets. CompCare puts out pamphlets. Some of these other big recovery industry places put out their own pamphlets. None of them will guarantee you a spiritual awakening. This one will. See, anybody know who Joe and Charlie are? You ever heard of Joe and Charlie, these 2 old guys that run around and give big book seminars all over the country? See, they start talking about this, and they talk about their experience. See, for about 18, 19 years now, they've been going around the country. I mean, they come in contact with AA everywhere it exists. And they say they've seen over 400 different versions of how to do step 4. And they say they're all a bunch of hooey. They don't use that word. Okay? And they say there was one that came out of Minnesota, if you know what's in Minnesota. Very, very popular. And they say, you take this one, see, and if you aren't insane when you start writing it, you will be when you're done. See, there's an awful lot of BS out there. But we tend to buy that stuff. Has anybody bought any of those kind of pamphlets that say, have you ever noticed how they are slickly printed, and they always got, Walter D. Scheinkopf, Ph.D., M.D., da-da-da-da-da, that kind of stuff on the front, and you go, well, it must be the truth. See? And then it starts off talking about the universal goals of mankind, and on and on and on, and changing behaviors, and, all kinds of stuff. So he starts coming up and it's got nothing to do with what we're talking about in terms of the house cleaning such that we can have a spiritual experience. See? Absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with what we're talking about here. See, these are simple, clear-cut directions which can be followed by anybody once you see it, see? And which, if followed, and without your old ideas, will produce the house cleaning necessary to have an experience of God in your life. You continue on, see, with the steps. See, if you're somebody who's been confused by all that other stuff, see, we're going to drop it. It just doesn't work. Okay? Now, that said, if you are somebody, see, who's got a sponsor or a pamphlet or a something that you got from somewhere else, and that's what you want to do when you do your 4th step, here's my suggestion to you. See, find out who made the thing up, whatever it is. If it's your sponsor, talk to your sponsor. If it's CompCare, write them or call them. See, no matter who it is, go to the source, look them in the eye. Don't do this, try not to do it over the phone. Go look them in the eye and say, I need a spiritual experience in order to recover from my alcoholism. Can you guarantee me that this will produce it? See? And if they won't take that responsibility, tear it up and leave. See? Because this is a matter of life and death. There are an awful lot of people dying of their alcoholism. See? Like you to not be one of them. See? This is a proven method of recovery. It's clear-cut. I didn't make it up. My sponsor didn't make it up. The people who wrote it didn't make it up. Okay? It's clear-cut spiritual principles which bring about recovery from alcoholism. There's an immense amount of experience that how it doesn't work. See? And a lot of experience that how it works. See? What do you want? See, it's up to you. Nobody can hold a gun, see, and make you follow the directions. I just want to make it clear, see, that you're talking about your life here. Okay, so step 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Now you got all this stuff on paper. It's written. See, it's not on 3x5 index cards either. See, there's a lot of writing, a lot of looking, a lot of work that goes on with this. Okay, now you got this in your hand. Step 5, admitted. Number 1, to God. Number 2, to ourselves. See, and number 3, the one we're all afraid of. See, to another human being, our sponsor, whoever that is, you know, the next person we see that's going to be out of town in 5 minutes. See that kind of stuff. See, the exact nature of our wrongs. See, now everybody remember the index finger? Hold up your index finger again. Take your index finger and cover up the words, the exact nature of. Those 4 words. Cover up those 4 words. Now read the sentence. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being, our wrongs. What's the difference? Yeah. See, now, have you been looking at this in terms of our wrongs? See, most of us do. See, it ain't about our wrongs. It's about the exact nature of our wrongs. See, once you understand that, you begin to understand why this inventory method works and why all these other ones don't. They don't seem to understand the exact nature, see, of the wrongs. See, now, at the point we're getting started, we don't know what the exact nature is, but a lot of us think we do. See, we think we know exactly what the trouble is in our lives. See, but are you open-minded to finding out things you don't know? See, what do most of us do when we come into Alcoholics Anonymous and talk about this stuff and try the steps? See, we deal with stuff that we already know. Don't you? Know what you're talking about? Oh, well, I learned this and I know that. See, I see this and I see that. Well, see, that has never solved your problem, has it? See? So the things that we already know have not served us well. So what do we need to find out? Stuff we don't know. That's what steps 4 and 5 are going to show us. Stuff we don't know. See? To hell with what we know. It hasn't worked. We aren't happy. We're miserable, depressed, page 52, all that stuff. See? So we're not looking, see, to get, some kind of spiritual backing on what we already think is going on. See? Because what we think is going on has not solved our problem. Is that pretty clear to everybody? See? So we're going to be looking now for things that we do not know in step 4 and 5. Okay, so admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Has anybody in here done step 5? Okay, now, those of you who have done it, what was the hardest admission? Was it to the other person or was it to yourself and to God?
Myself and God.
Yeah, see, it ain't to the other person. See, but most of us, we think, oh, God, talking to this other person is what's really hard. See, but notice the order there. Admitted to who? God. Then to who? Ourselves. And then to who? See, what happens is if we do admit this to God as we understand God and to ourselves, face it ourselves, see, we don't have all that much trouble admitting it, see, to party of the third part, whoever that is that you're doing your 5th step with. And there are clear-cut instructions for how to do step 5, start on page 72 and run to page 75 in chapter 6. We're going to go over those as part of the book study. Okay, so now we know the exact nature of our wrongs. How do we find that out? We followed the directions up to this point. Right? Once we know that, we can then do step 6, see, which is we're entirely ready to work on our defects of character. Is that what it says? Yeah. Doesn't say entirely ready to get in touch with ourselves, deal with our feelings. Entirely ready to find a little child within. Okay? Entirely ready to talk about our problems. Entirely ready to what? Have God remove all these defects of character. What defects of character? What I found in step 4 and step 5. See, that I didn't know about before I did step 4 and step 5. Okay? Everybody see the word ready there? It's preceded by the word entirely. Okay? Now, entirely means completely or wholly. See, ready isn't just some nowhere kind of word. How many people in here work? Have to go to work? Just about everybody? All right, now, see, before you go to work, don't you have to get ready?
Oh, yeah.
See, isn't there a process that you go through called getting ready, and then you go to work? See? Anybody here ever gone out on a date, like a formal thing, a prom, some kind of black tie affair? See? See? You have to get ready. See? What happens when you're not ready? You're late, right? Or you don't go. Or, see? You got to get ready. See? There are all kinds of versions of getting ready in life. You ever seen an on-deck hitter? Anybody watching the series? See, what's the on-deck hitter doing?
ready.
Yeah, what's all this stuff about? What's he doing over there? He's getting ready. Okay, see? Why do people practice anything? They're getting ready. Okay, see, so there's a whole deal that goes on with getting ready. See, ready's not just a nowhere kind of thing. It has to do with process and purpose. Okay, the step is entirely ready. See, to have God, not ourselves. See, once we discover the exact nature of this, we're going to be pretty clear we're powerless to bring any change about it. Okay? Entirely ready to have God remove, not add, remove defects of character. See, and we begin to get pretty clear now by looking carefully at the steps. See, that one of our old ideas kind of goes like this. So let's say I'm God, and this is spirituality, and here's Larry. And Larry's sitting there, and he's trying to get good. So God will help him. Okay, so he's getting good, he's getting good, he's getting good, and he's waiting for God to say, okay, you're good enough. Okay, you're good enough. Stand up. And here is the addition of spirituality to your life, Larry. You are now cloaked in the truth. See, and you can walk on water and heal the sick, raise the dead. See? Has anybody here thought of it that way? You know, that God is going to add something to you? See? See, that's what it's about, God adding things. Let's read the words in the sentence again. We're entirely ready to have God what? Remove. Okay, see, so here's God, see, and he doesn't have anything to give. See, what he's got is, you ready to take that coat off? See? But you can't get it off yourself. See? You want the coat off? That's your character defense. Okay? Are you ready? Okay, see, as soon as he's ready, what happens? Now he's a free man. See? Nothing got added to it. Something got taken away. Okay? It's removal. It isn't addition. Does that make sense? See? Yeah, God's not sitting up there withholding something from anybody in this room. It's already there, but it's all covered up. Remember chapter 4? See, you got to take off all this other stuff in order to find what's already there. See? There's no unfairness about it. Anybody who does the work finds that's what occurs. Anybody who doesn't do the work gets drunk. Pretty simple. Yeah.
Is that in ready, we're entirely ready, is that like getting your ducks in line? You have God removed?
Well, it's whatever your character defects look like to you, and when you're ready to have them removed, see, then there's some stuff to do to get them removed. See, not all of us all have the same character defects or the same weight and gravity to this. You know, we all are different people. Some of us are greedier than others. Some of us are lustier than others. And some of us are more prideful and closed-minded and arrogant and superior than others. And some of us are know-it-alls. And see, some of us are passive-aggressive. We're all these kind of things that we are. See, and we work and work and work and work and work, and nothing happens. So we got to become entirely ready. See, to admit that we got it, ask God to remove it. That's when it happens. See, not till then. See, this is a pretty major step. See, if you've ever read the 12 and 12, Bill says this is the step that separates the men from the boys. Anybody ever read that line? In the 12 and 12? Why? See, because you cannot be the same human being once this occurs. You got to change. You got to be responsible. You got to be on. You got to be a lot of stuff that you aren't before. See? So really here, see, at step 6 is where the price really starts getting paid, isn't it? See? So this is not some, I already did step 6, I said a prayer and moved on. No. See, there's something that needs to be done here. See, called getting ready. Okay, so once we are entirely ready, see, then we do something. Step 7, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. Humble means an awareness of one's defects. An awareness of one's defects. Someone who is aware truly of one's defects is going to have a hard time being proud. Does that make sense? It's real tough to be proud if you're really aware of your defects. I don't really have all that much to be proud of. Okay, so humbly, see, worked on our character defects again? No, humbly asked him, see, that's God as we understand him, see, to remove our shortcomings. See, why? We're powerless over this stuff. See, this doesn't mean we sit and do nothing. See, there's a lot that needs to be done. See, but the reliance is totally where? On a higher power. See, so just notice what happened following that 5th step. See, the foundation of the first 5 steps. This total reliance on God starts immediately at step 6. See, so the assumption is you know something about the necessity of relying on God in your life by the time you're done with step 5. Okay, step 8. Now, see, some steps 1 through 5 got done, then we understood and came to an awareness of our defects of character, and we began to ask God to remove those, which produces a change in the human being. See, and now we get into the amend steps, which are about cleaning up what's called the wreckage of the past in Alcoholics Anonymous. Okay, now, has anybody here had any experience of living with somebody or even working for somebody and apologizing for something very sincerely and then doing it again? Anybody in here had that experience? Okay, and then apologizing for that and then doing it again. And then apologizing for that and then doing it again. Okay, see, now has an amend been made? No. See, so an amend and an apology are not the same thing. See, what happens when we amend the Constitution of the United States? It's changed, fundamentally altered in some way. All right? Now, if the human being is not fundamentally changed or altered in some way, and in the way we're talking about is spiritually, can that human being bring about a change in any relationship? No. See, an unchanged person, see, will do the same thing. See, despite all apologies. See, so if there's no change in us, then an apology at step 9 ain't going to cut it. See, because we're going out to bring about change, called amends. See, to clean things up and fundamentally alter the relationships we've had with people, see, in our lives, people, institutions, and principles. Okay, so if we're not changed, we're kidding ourselves about an ability to bring on change. We're just the same old person with a new line of BS. Okay? Anybody got any experience of being the same old person with a new line of BS? Yeah, me too. Okay, see, does it work? See? See? Go spout the AA line at somebody and see if they'll forgive you, and then do it again. See? All right, see? No change. Okay, so we made a list. That's the first action in step 8. Written thing. Of all persons we'd harm, not some, not the big ones, all. Okay, are you willing to do that? See, and once they're on paper, then we examine ourselves. See, what's required here? Honesty. We have to examine ourselves for the willingness to make them. Okay, now what if we say to ourselves, I'm willing, and don't do it? Are we willing? No. See, so the claim of willingness was dishonest. Okay, see, so do you see why honesty is necessary all along the line here? Okay, so we made a list of all persons we'd harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. This is a written list. No amends have been made yet. Okay, so ask yourself, see, does this sound like there's a price that you're going to have to pay? See, if you want to do what works here, see, is there any price that you have to pay? See, and if so, see, are you willing to pay it? Okay, so we become willing. See, then what do? We go to step 9. It says made direct amends. See, not direct apologies, not indirect amends. Everybody know what indirect means? See? Anybody been a hinter in your life? See? Any of you guys hint? See, I've lived most of my life hinting at things. Hint, hint, hint. Never direct. Do something for somebody. Made direct amends to such people. What people? The people on our list. See, wherever possible. And what's the only caveat here? Except when to do so would injure them or others. Okay? Now, let's all read step 8 and 9 and see how many times the words I, me, and my, see, appear in step 8 and step 9. Just read through them and count up all the times I, me, and my appear in step 8 and 9. Okay, you see anything in there that says make amends to yourself? See anything in there that says be good to yourself, put yourself first? Not there, is it? Okay, so that's somebody else's how it works. That's not the program's how it works. Okay, see, it's a pretty common message in a lot of AA groups, but see, that's not the program. See? This ain't about putting ourselves first. It's about getting our lives cleaned up, put in order, and being of service to other people, not messing around. Okay, now steps 1 through 9, you might make a little bracket there and write the word grasped. Everybody remember grasp? See, this is how you grasp the spiritual principles. At this point, you got something in your life, see, some knowledge and some experience, see, and access to some power which will keep you sober for the rest of your life, see, if you put these things into practice. See, and there is nobody on the face of the earth who can take it away from you. See, regardless of any circumstances you ever face. It's either true or it's false. See, now you got it grasped. Okay? Now, An example of this is, let's say that Dave went shopping and he brought back the makings of doing a cake from scratch. Everybody know what that is? You get some cake flour and some salt, and some sugar and some vanilla and some eggs. What else goes? Some cooking oil, some flavor, let's say chocolate, something like that. You put all that on the table, see, and you bring a 5-year-old kid up, put him on a stool, and say, go to it. Okay, and see what is likely to result from telling a 5-year-old kid to go to it with all those good ingredients. What's going to happen? Yeah, some kind of mess, right? See, it'll just make a mess. Now, see, there's really nothing wrong with the kid, see, and there's nothing wrong with any of the ingredients individually, and there's nothing wrong with the table, see, but somebody made a serious mistake here, see? So you could take the same 5-year-old kid, if they got an average amount of intelligence, see, and with the same ingredients, teach them how to make a cake. See, first by showing them, see, and then the next time you do it, you let them pour a little of the stuff. See, and you do this 3 or 4 or 5 times, see, and pretty soon the kid really got the idea, see, of how you make a cake, see, and you always show them the end thing with the frosting, and they go, oh, that's good, they love that. Okay, see, and at some point, after doing that a few times, see, what would happen? You'd be able to take the same 5-year-old kid, see, with the same ingredients, stand over here and watch them make a cake, wouldn't you? They'd be able to do it. See, once they had the ingredients and knew how to do it. How? Precise method. See, they wouldn't make a mess. They'd make a cake. All right? See, now a lot of us, have a little grasp, on some of the ingredients. See? But once we have the precise method, see, now you can make a cake. All right? See, so do you see why an open mind and some understanding and some willingness, see, is necessary with all this? See, we're trying to produce a very specific result, see, in the human being here. All right, now, once we have grasped those 9 steps, see, we have a good grasp on the spiritual principles, see, that are necessary for us to live our life on a spiritual basis for the rest of our life. See, we're committed and we've gotten some results and we see that it works. See, now steps 10, 11, and 12, see, are putting into practice or use the things we have already grasped. Okay, so step 10, continue to take personal inventory. Well, you can't continue something you never started, can you? Okay. See, it's like me. Everybody see what color my hair is? See, I think I'll continue to be a blonde. See, well, see, that's ridiculous, isn't it? See, why? I'm not blonde and I haven't dyed my hair. If I ran out and dyed my hair and came back blonde, then I could literally say to you, I think I'll continue to be a blonde. See, but until I do it, see, AA is full of people who take step 10 and say, oh, well, I'm doing step 10. They never did step 4. See, they never did it to begin with, never grasped it. See, so step 10, see, you come up with all these weird versions of step 10 that you hear in AA meetings all the time. See, everybody's got their own version of step 10, Some people, it's a written list done at night. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It's clearly spelled out in the book of Alcoholics Anonymous in Chapter 6. See, what needs to be done and exactly when and how to do it, what directions to follow, what Step 10 is all about, see, and how it hooks together with Step 11. See, why those 2 things are necessary, see, to be really effective in Step 12. See, it's all very clearly put in the book, see, but see, if you never did it yourself, it's pretty hard to pass it on to somebody else. Okay, so step 10, continue to take whose inventory? See, will you do that if you haven't grasped the value of it? See, step 10 isn't some kind of survival technique. Okay? See, it really only can be done by somebody who's grasped the value of spiritual growth that comes from continued personal inventory. See, the only people that have ever grasped that are people who followed the directions, got it, first time through. So continue to take personal inventory, and when we were right, promptly let everybody know. Immediately. What does your book say? When we were wrong, promptly admit it. Okay, now see, most of us, and I'm certainly one of them, have gone through most of our lives announcing when we're right. Don't you love to be right? See? Isn't that pretty much the basis of most of the arguments you guys get into? See, we want to announce and be right. Okay, see, that's only done by people who have not grasped the value of admitting where and how they're wrong. See, because people who have grasped the value of admitting where and how they're wrong, see, don't go around announcing when they're right anymore. See, because they know that doesn't work. See, this is the total turnaround See, this is a turned over life. See, turn over to the care of God. See? So here's some evidence. See, somebody who can do this, see, their life is being turned over. See? So continue to take personal inventory. When we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Okay? Step 11, sought. 2 ways. Number 1, prayer. Number 2, meditation. They are not the same thing. Okay, now a lot of us have tons of old ideas about prayer and meditation. If you're somebody who does have tons of old ideas and maybe resentments and fears and stuff about prayer and meditation, put them on your 4th step. Okay? Put them on your 4th step. Examine your old ideas. Find out what they are. There's a lot of fear, a lot of misconceptions, see, about prayer, meditation, spirituality. See, when I heard the word meditation, I immediately thought of these guys levitating over in Bangladesh, sitting in lotus positions for hours, and talking sort of like this lovely lotus flower with its roots in the muck, that kind of stuff. Yeah. See, prayer and meditation, 2 things. So look, see if you got any resentments, old ideas about that stuff. See, because they're step 11, they're not step 1. Okay? See, that's another mistake a lot of people make. They think step 11 is step 1. Well, I pray and I meditate. See, prayer isn't a program. Okay? It's not a program. See, it's just part of the program of action in Alcoholics Anonymous. It's necessary and it's good and it produces results. Prayer in and of itself, meditation in and of itself, it ain't the program. Just part of it. Okay, sought through prayer and meditation to improve. You can only improve what already exists. See, it doesn't say sought through prayer and meditation to establish conscious contact with God. It's to improve. See, that which we found by doing the first 9 steps. See, to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him. Praying only. What's only mean? For knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. See, that's a scary thing to even consider, isn't it? I mean, you ought to think about that last part of step 11 sometime. See what that really means. Apply that to every area of your life and see what happens. What about me? See, that's what happened to me as soon as I took an honest look at step 11. It's going to take care of me. See? I mean, that put a shotgun right to my self-centeredness. Okay. You think you can establish, a program or any kind of discipline of prayer and meditation if you don't clean house, make your amends? You might look, and any of you have been on spiritual paths before and fallen off, gotten on, fallen off, gotten on, fallen off. See, what is it? See, is it an unclean house that keeps you from sticking with it? See, there's the biggest impediment to spiritual growth in all of us, is steps 1 through 9. We think we can do without them. We're just going to do this holy stuff over here. See, but never clean house, never make our amends. Okay, so look at your own experience. Okay, top of page 60, 3-part step, step 12. First part is a guarantee. Some people think it's a threat. Are you threatened by this? See, it's also a promise. See, and it is having had a spiritual awakening as a result of what?
Yes.
All right. See, what results from other things? Something else results from other things. See? But are you looking for a spiritual awakening? A real, genuine, no doubt about it, necessary to be sober spiritual awakening. See? And if you are, what's going to produce it? These steps or something else, something you come up with on your own. That's it. See? Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps. See, we tried to carry what message? What does the word "this" mean? Yeah, what's it refer to? Yeah, it refers to a spiritual awakening as a result of the steps. Why? That is the solution. See? That's it. There ain't no other how it works. See, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles where? Does that include relationships? Does that include sex? Does that include money? Does that include where you work? Does that include the house and the family that you live in? See? Remember page 19, a much more important demonstration of our principles lies before us where? In our homes, in our occupations, and in our affairs. Where do meetings fall? Third on the list. See? Are you willing to do that? See? To put these principles into practice everywhere in your life? See? It ain't about just coming to AA and going, oh, well, I had a good day, oh, I had a bad day, and then you go home and kick the dog. See? Yeah, I don't have to do AA anywhere except in a meeting. See? Wrong. That doesn't keep people sober. See? Word practice has a definite definition. You might want to write it down. The word practice means to do something repeatedly. See? To do something repeatedly with a view toward perfection. See, once you understand that, it scares you when you go to the doctor, doesn't it? He's got a practice going on. Who's he going to practice on? Okay, to practice, see, these principles. See, not some other ideas. See, do you see anything in there about dealing with your feelings? Or find a little child within? See, those are some other ideas. What are you putting into practice in your life? See, you practice these principles where? In all of our affairs. See, now why do we do that? Because it works. Remember how many times they've said so far in the book, quite as important was the discovery that spiritual principles would solve all my problems? See? We're not doing this to be holy. See, or to walk on water, to heal the sick, raise the dead, any of that. See, we're doing it because it works. It solves problems in life. Okay? It solves all kinds of problems. Okay, so we want to put it into practice. See, because it's practical. Works. Okay, so step 12 again. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, not some other steps, we tried to carry this message, not some other message, to who? Alcoholics. See, ask yourself, make a little note here. What message do I carry to the people, see, I come in contact with? Is it this one or some other one? See, what's going to be the result of that? What's the effect on their lives? See, ask yourself those kind of questions. It's honest and open-minded, isn't it? We try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles where? In all our affairs. Not some of them, not occasionally, not when we feel like it, not when there's gas in the car. See, all of our affairs. Okay, now that is the 12-step program of recovery in Alcoholics Anonymous. Okay, now, so you got to ask yourself, see, do I like that? Am I willing to do that? Does that look like there's a price? Okay. It's nothing short of that. Remember page 25? The great fact is this, and just this. It's nothing less than this. We have had deep and effective spiritual experiences. How did they get them? Did they get it free? Nope. Okay. Here are the steps we took. See? So you got to ask yourself, am I willing to took these myself? See? Am I going to took these? See? See? Everybody know what the word absolve means? See? Are you going to absolve yourself? See? From the doing of this. I'm different. I don't need this. See? Not me. I'm not as bad as those guys or that guy. Michael may be an alcoholic, but I wasn't as bad as he was. All that kind of stuff. Ask yourself. Okay, now it says, many of us exclaim, what an order, I can't go through with it. Do you think that's what they actually exclaimed, or do you think they cleaned up the language here? Give me an effing break, right? What an order. I can't go through with it. All right, anybody had that reaction to the steps? Anybody get that reaction? I can't go through with this. What the hell? Okay. Do not be discouraged. Okay, no one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. You might want to put the definition of the word perfect in the margin of your book there. It means that which needs no improvement. Very simple definition of the word perfect. That which needs no improvement.
Means what?
That which needs no improvement. Everybody got it? Perfect means that which needs no improvement. Okay, no one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. Adherence means to stick to it, or persevere. You know, if you lick a stamp, it adheres to the envelope because of the glue. Adhere means to stick to something. Okay, so none of us have been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. Okay, now how many people in here besides me have had any kind of problem at all with being a perfectionist and demanding perfection in other people? So yourself and other people, right? Okay, see, are you willing? Is that an idea you're willing to let go of? Okay, see, we are not here to be perfect. See? And we are not going to be able to do the steps perfectly. See? So what can we do? We can do them thoroughly. We can do them honestly. See? But we aren't going to do them perfectly. Everybody see the difference? See? There are things you can do. See, you can be thorough. You can be honest. You can follow directions. See? Doubtful whether anybody in this room is going to do them perfectly or end up perfect as a result of doing it. Okay, see, so if you're a perfectionist, see, you might start to consider that a little bit. Get a little open-minded. Has perfectionism ever worked in your life? See, it never worked for me. Just produced a lot of unhappiness and a lot of collision. Okay, so no one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. All right, let's all read the next sentence together out loud. We are not saints. All right, now everybody who's done a fourth and fifth step in here, raise your hand again. Okay, those with your hand up, how many of you found out you're not a saint? Everybody, right? See, that's what we find out. See, we aren't saints. See, that's a major part of the exact nature of our wrongs. See, is we are not saints. See, have any of you had the idea that you got to be pretty saintly in order to get God's help in your life? So it's an old idea that a lot of us really get stuck with. Okay, we're not saints. We're human beings. Okay, we've been around the block a few times. We're just going to take an honest look at that when we do our fourth and fifth step. Okay? We are not saints. Okay, the point is that we are willing to grow how?
Spiritual lines.
Okay, see, if you're dealing with your feelings, are you growing along spiritual lines? See, a lot of people confuse the emotional stuff, this little child within stuff, see, and call that spiritual. See, maybe not so. See, maybe all the stuff about dealing with feelings and all that, see, ain't too spiritual. Maybe it's mental and emotional. It's just some stuff that you might look at. Can anybody hug you back to health? Anybody hug your mind if your mind is a main problem? Hasn't somebody loved you somewhere along the line? Did that solve the problem? Is love going to do it? See, all those kind of things. Are those things spiritual? See, we pass them off as spiritual a lot, but are they really? See? Or are they things that seem to be pretty basically human, fundamentally mental and emotional kinds of things? Questions you can ask yourself. What's going to solve your problem? See? The point is but the we is the 100 men and women who started AA are willing. Ask yourself, are you willing to grow along spiritual lines? See? Now, the problem with spiritual lines is that they are very uncompromising. Anybody notice that? Any of you got a hard ass for a sponsor who's pretty uncompromising? See? I keep saying it's the steps, what I got over and over and over. See, that's see, that's the thing about spirituality is it doesn't make compromises, but humans do. Humans make compromises all the time. See, and that's one of the reasons that some of our groups don't even know what the program is anymore. See, because of an endless series of compromises, giving yourself a break and all that. A friend of mine up in Sacramento has a great definition of the word compromise. He says that's when two people both get what they don't want. We have compromise. Now, how many people in here have come to believe that compromise is what works? Anybody? See, it's a pretty strong idea out there in the world, is that this whole business of compromise is what works. See, and the more we believe that, the higher the divorce rates. See, the more we got politicians involved in money and sex scandals. See, and everybody's out there saying that the real art to this, see, the real art to all of this is compromise. See, and look what's going on. Yeah, see, so ask yourself, see, is compromise really something that works? See, or is maybe that an old idea that you might, see, need to examine and maybe let go of? See, because these steps we're talking about are very uncompromising. See, they're very uncompromising. Okay, the point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. So you got to ask yourself, am I willing to do that? Okay, the principles we have set down are guides to progress. All right, now where are principles set down? Where do you see any principles set down, written down? Page 59 and 60? Okay, do you see any other list of something somewhere that says the principles behind these principles are? See, you don't see any other better list of principles? See, there are a bunch of things that float around AA called the principles behind the principles. You know, the principles behind step one are courage, see, and honesty, and this. See, and the principle behind step 2 is this. See, and the principle behind step 3 is something else. And the principle behind step 4 is this. You ever seen those things? See, they float around. See, it says who? See, these are the principles. See, there aren't some principles behind the principles. These are the principles. These are fundamental spiritual principles, see, which are powerless over alcohol. And our lives become unmanageable. See, belief in a power greater than ourselves solving the problem is a fundamental spiritual principle. See, making a decision about what we're going to do is a fundamental spiritual principle. Taking an inventory is a fundamental spiritual principle. See, because no change can occur with someone who is ignorant of facts, see, or deluded about it. See, sharing, see, what is found and admitting that to ourselves, to God, and to another human being. That's a fundamental spiritual principle. See, becoming ready to have God change us and direct us and remove things from us. Fundamental spiritual principles. Amends to our brethren, see, people we're in relationship with, the world. Fundamental spiritual principles. See, there's not some other set of principles somewhere that we're supposed to, get to and operate on. These are them. See, it's the only principles you see set down in the basic text anyway. See, is right here, page 59 and 60. See? A lot of us think that there's some other, more arcane, esoteric, higher level spiritual set of things, see, in a back room in AA. Nope. It's all right out front. These are the principles. So, did you know that? Took me a little while to learn. Okay, so the principles we've set down in Guides to Progress, we claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. See, what do you claim? See, do you claim any spiritual progress? Can you honestly do that? Can you get up in front of people in AA and honestly say, this is my spiritual progress based on the work I've done, what I've learned? And I can pass this along to any newcomer, man, woman, child, who walks in the door? Can you do that? See, I couldn't. I had my own program. No spiritual progress. Okay, our description of the alcoholic. Now, where did we describe the alcoholic? The doctor's opinion. Bill's story. There is a solution in chapter 3 more about alcoholism. See, in there, those 4 chapters, we found the entire description of the alcoholic. See, notice that you don't see the word definition here. It doesn't say our definition of the alcoholic. See? It's a description of the alcoholic, and it fits any alcoholic, man or woman or youngster, see? No matter how much they drank, when they drank it, what occurred to them as a result of the drinking of it, see? What their circumstances in life are, see? Whether they came from a functional or dysfunctional family, see? Whether they're in love or not in love, in a relationship or not in a relationship, doesn't make any difference. See, we have a description of the alcoholic in this book, which is one size fits all. See, anybody who's got an open mind. Okay, so our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic. What chapter is that? Chapter 4. See, where we learn all about prejudice and the God of reason, and see, all that kind of stuff. And our personal adventures before and after. Now, where do we find personal adventures? The various stories in the book, such as Bill's story, and the various examples given in the book, and the doctor's opinion in chapter 2, chapter 3, plus the whole back of the book, starting about page 165, wherever that is, where the stories start. See, that's all personal adventures before and after. Okay, see, what's that all about? What it was like, what happened, and what it's like now, see? But if all you can talk about is what it was like, see, you ain't got much to offer, do you? Okay, so our personal adventures before and after make clear. Clear means plain and evident 3 pertinent ideas. Pertinent means that which applies. Okay, so here's 3 pertinent ideas, 3 ideas that apply to the problem here. Okay, so you got to ask yourself, are these things plain and clear and evident to me? All right, and what they are is, we call them in Alcoholics Anonymous, the ABCs. Everybody familiar with that? Well, what they are, steps 1 and 2. They're steps 1 and 2 in just different words. Okay? A, that we were alcoholic. Now, have you had that made plain? See, do the facts and your own experience make it plain or clear to you? Say that you are alcoholic. See, or are you a hard drinker with a couple of emotional problems that just need to be dealt with? See, are you a substance abuser, not a real alcoholic? Are you chemically dependent, but not a real alcoholic? See? Is your problem a dysfunctional family, not really alcoholism? See? What is your problem? What's clear to you at this point? See? Clear to us, A, that we were alcoholic, see, and could not manage our own lives. See, we are certain to relapse, see, regardless of where we are in the material area of our life. See? Whether anybody loves us or not, whether we're happy or not, see? Our lives are unmanageable. See, is that clear to you? Have you admitted it? Faced it? Is it a fact? No mental defense? Okay, B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. See? Can we name some human powers that a lot of us use to relieve our alcoholism? How about therapy? Shrinks?
Human resources.
Sponsors? Huh?
Human resources.
Human resources. All that stuff we wrote on the board when we went through chapter 4. Everybody remember that big long list we put up here 2 weeks ago? All the no human powers. Not even the meetings can relieve the alcoholism. Okay, and C, that God, oh shit, okay, God could, and he would, but what's the requirement? See? Notice it doesn't say if he were believed in. It doesn't say if he were prayed to. If we went to church. See? If we talked to somebody. See? If he what? Were sought. Now, where do we seek? Inside. How do we seek? 12 steps. See? Remember those two terms from chapter 4, where and how? See? That God could, and he would. The requirement on us is if he were sought. Not if he were believed in, prayed to, talked about, wished for, or any of that. See? A decision has to be made, and action has to be taken. See? That's the only way, see, that this is going to work. See? And this is called how it works. See? So, some of us sit around and we think that, there's a, what is the cliche? Don't leave 5 minutes before the miracle happens. See, we just come to enough meetings, miracle's going to happen. Anybody thought that? Heard that? Am I that one? Yeah, see? Anybody have it happen? Anybody seen anybody else go get drunk while they waited for it to happen? All the time. See? No action, no understanding, talked about the problems, dealt with their feelings, went and got drunk. Didn't happen. Okay? So there's a clear-cut program of action, see? And it's very liberating for most of us to find that out. See, there's nothing mysterious or voodoo about the people who recover. See? It's all about, are you willing to take action, follow direction? Okay, now, did you have a question?
Oh, yeah, why did they put poverty there on B? What does that mean?
Well, whenever it came to, as you notice in the book, did everybody hear his question? His question was about the word probably in B. See, I'll show you another probably. Go back to page 44.
44.
Yeah. First paragraph. In the preceding chapters, you have learned something of alcoholism. We hope we've made clear the distinction between the alcoholic and the non-alcoholic. If, when you honestly want to, tradition 3, you find you cannot quit entirely, obsession. Or if, when drinking, you find you have little control over the amount you take, that's the allergy. You are, what's the next word? Probably. Alcoholic. Okay? See, so why do they put the probablys in here? See, when it comes to the solution, see, it's all very uncompromising and clear-cut. Boom, boom, boom. See, but when it comes to, see, what you got individually, you generally find a probably there. See? Because what they learned, and what we all learn when we work with others, that as soon as you tell an alcoholic what the fact is, the alcoholic goes, oh. See? If they took the probably out of there, see, almost every alcoholic who read B would go, boom. See, it leaves no room to wiggle and to think and to check it out. See, so they throw a probably in there because that gives you a little bit of room to examine it. See, most alcoholics are sitting there, with 2 guns out. Boom, boom, boom. Wrong. Okay? See, so you gotta, see, it's not an accident where they put the probablys. That's a great question. Did I answer it?
Yes.
Okay, let's go back to page 60. A, go over the ABCs again. A, we were alcoholic, could not manage our own lives. With step 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. And C, that God, however you understand God, So everybody getting pretty clear about that? Letting go of your old ideas, coming to your own understanding what a higher power actually is. Could and would, two important words there, would. See, a lot of us think, well, I sinned too much, I've gone too far, I've been, too sexually depraved, I've done this, that, the other thing, I drank too much. See, could and would. Do those two words, and would, apply to you? See, if he were sought. Not if he were believed in, not if we went to meetings, see, not if we prayed, if he were sought. Clear-cut method. Okay, now the next two words are being convinced. Everybody see the next two words? All right, just circle those or highlight them or something like that. And we're going to come back to them here in just a minute. We're going to take the last couple of minutes here in the meeting, and what I'd like you to do, see, is go back to page 58. See, it's the first part of how it works. Okay, now what I'm going to do is read the original manuscript to you, and just follow along in your book, and you will notice, see, a whole change in tone. Okay, so I just start at the top. It says, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our directions. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program, usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. They're not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a way of life which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those, too, who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to follow directions. At some of these, you may balk. You may think you can find an easier, softer way. We doubt if you can. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember that you are dealing with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for you. But there is one who has all power. That one is God. You must find him now. Half measures will avail you nothing. You stand at the turning point. Throw yourself under his protection and care with complete abandon. Now we think you can take it. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as your program of recovery. 1. Admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care and direction, remember what Ruth said a little earlier? The care and direction of God as we understood it. 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6. We're entirely willing that God remove all these defects of character. 7. Humbly, on our knees, asked him to remove our shortcomings, holding nothing back. 8. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make complete amends to them all. 9. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10. Continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our contact with God, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. 12. Having had a spiritual experience as a result of this course of action, we tried to carry this message to others, especially alcoholics, and to practice these principles in all our affairs. You may exclaim, what an order! I can't go through with it. Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. And the principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter 2, the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after have been designed to sell you 3 pertinent ideas. A, that you are alcoholic and cannot manage your own life. B, that probably no human power can relieve your alcoholism. C, that God can and will. if you are not convinced on these vital issues, you ought to reread the book to this point or else throw it away. If you ain't convinced, you need to start over. Okay? Now, see, the reason I read that is we're going to start another book study on Wednesday, and anybody in here, say, if you find yourself unconvinced, say, and if I can help you, or this group can help you in any way, we'd be happy to do that. See? And the best way to do that is start at the beginning with an open mind. See, if this ain't making sense to you at this point, see, start at the beginning with an open mind. See, I'll go through this with you 50 times if we have to go through it 50 times. You got to be convinced. If you aren't convinced, the steps are useless, absolutely useless. No decision will get made. See, it's really important. Okay, we got 5 minutes. Who wants to talk?
Hi, my name's Dave, and I'm the one making the tapes. Due to getting my fingers crossed, we dropped about hour and a half of the lecture at this point. I substituted in the equivalent lecture from another book study that was done at another place, so if you notice a drop in the volume level on the recording, etc., don't worry about it. It'll pick up again where we remedied the problem with taping it.
Having had a spiritual experience as a result of this course of action, we tried to carry this message to others, especially alcoholics, and to practice these principles in all our affairs. You may exclaim, what an order, I can't go through with it. Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter 2, the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after have been designed to sell you 3 pertinent ideas. A, that you are alcoholic and cannot manage your own life. B, that probably no human power can relieve your alcoholism. C, that God can and will. If you are not convinced on these vital issues, you ought to reread the book to this point or else throw it away. Is that a little tougher? Mm-hmm. That's more the flavor of what you would have heard had you gone to AA in the early days. It's a real take it or leave it kind of thing. If you want to recover, you'll be willing. If you don't want to recover, don't kid yourself. Throw the book away. So you don't lie to yourself and other people. Okay. Being convinced, back on page 60 now. So you got to ask yourself, am I convinced? We were at step 3, which is that we decided. So the action in step 3 is a decision. Decisions get made where? In the mind. See, to turn. See, our will and our life. See, it doesn't say we turned our will and our life over to God. We decided to turn our will and our life over to God as we understood Him, whatever your conception is. See, just what do we mean by that? So we're going to explain what that means, and just what do we do? What action do we take? See, in this 3rd step. So that's all going to be here in the next 4 pages. Okay, now the first requirement, no musts in the program, right? So that's the first thing they tell us about the 3rd step. There's a requirement, see, for taking this step. So the first requirement is that we be convinced that any life, whose life do you think they're talking about here?
Mine.
Yeah, each of us. We got to be convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. It's not going to work. Okay, now what's the opposite of success? Failure. Okay, now let's go back and see what their definition of failure was one more time. So go back to page 52. Okay, I'm going to ask Dave to read the middle paragraph out loud, kind of slow, where it says we had to ask ourselves.
We had to ask ourselves why shouldn't why we shouldn't apply to our human problems this same readiness to change our point of view. We were having trouble with personal relationships.
Failure.
We couldn't control our emotional natures.
Failure.
We were afraid to misery and depression.
Failure.
We couldn't make a living.
Failure.
We had a feeling of uselessness.
Failure.
We were full of fear.
Failure.
We were unhappy.
Failure.
We couldn't seem to be of real help to other people.
Failure.
Was not a basic solution of these bedevilments more
Failure.
important than whatever we should see, that whether we should see newsreels of lunar flight? Of course it was.
Okay. See, so there's our life with the plug in our jug. Okay. Whether we got money in the bank, whether we're in a relationship or not in a relationship, whether we're going to meetings or not going to meetings. Okay. Here's that's a pretty apt description of almost every area of all of our lives. See, and we're sober. See, now, why did they say that was true? See, it's a self-imposed crisis. The booze doesn't cause that. See, we know the booze doesn't cause it because we stopped drinking, and it still goes on. See, so what is the cause of all that failure? Self-will. Alcoholics and Alcoholics Anonymous trying to manage their own lives, thinking they can solve their own problems. I don't need God. See, a little lip service will do you. Remember the Brill Cream ads? A little dab will do you. So back on page 60, the first requirement. So this is a requirement. See, who's it required of to be convinced of this? Yeah, each of us individually. See, I am totally convinced of this. See, but I already worked the steps. Everybody I know that's recovered is absolutely convinced of that. So that any life, run on self-will is not going to work. Absolutely. The more you understand this, the more we understand why Dr. Silkworth used the word doomed. So we live in doom even when we're sober, most of us. First requirement is that we be convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. On that basis, we are almost always, so those two words put together, constantly, in collision with something or somebody, even though our motives are good. So even when we're being an Al-Anon, even when we're being a codependent, even when we're being a nice guy. Okay, everybody understand what a collision is? Generally, we see that word and we think of a plane and a mountain, two cars in an intersection, whap, okay, that kind of stuff. How about a fist in my nose? Is that a collision? Okay, how about slamming a door on my finger? Is that a collision? How about biting my tongue, poking myself in the eye, stubbing my toe? How about an argument with my husband, my wife, my kids? See, how about getting fired? See, how about the crap that happens in our relationships at work? See, how about driving down the freeway and cutting people off and getting the finger? See, how about all that stuff that goes on in our life? Are those collisions? We have to be convinced. See, this is a totally new idea for most of us. See, all those things I just talked about, and there are thousands more that go on in our lives every day. See, I always explain them away as accidents, coincidences, bad luck, see, fate, stuff like that, clumsiness, I'm accident prone, see, those kind of things. See, they're not. See, each and every one of those collisions is a result, say, of some form of self-will in me. Okay? They aren't accidents. They never were accidents. Okay? A lot of people have a hard time swallowing that one. It was a little tough for me to get down right at first, but see, I had a big case of the but whatabouts. See, so if you get some but whatabouts, just be open-minded and start, taking your own look. Okay? But so the thing to notice is take an open-minded look. So here it is. It's about 8 o'clock on a Wednesday. How many collisions have you had in the last 24 hours? Big, small, medium. How many collisions in the last 2 weeks? What are you colliding with? The world and its people? Yourself? So I don't collide with God. I collide with other people running on self-will. You've got to be convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. So what are we talking about now? Literally, we're going back to the second half of step 1 again. That our lives are unmanageable. out of control. Okay? It isn't going to work. Right? So on that basis, we're almost always in collision with something or somebody, even though our motives are good. You ever tried to be nice or to help somebody and have them, rip your lips off? Okay? Have some disastrous result from such a thing? Okay? And wonder why it doesn't work? Okay? Even though our motives are good. See? Al-Anon, CODA, what is it? CODA meetings?
Yeah.
ACA. See, all that kind of stuff. You listen to the people talk in those kind of meetings. And they are all absolutely convinced that their motives are good. Okay? But why are they in those meetings? They're always in collision, see, with some alcoholic, their parents, their husbands, their wives, their kids. See, what's getting them in collision? Is it the alcoholic? It's their own self-will. See, but there they are, see, with their list of good motives. And their lives don't work. See, we get sober and we come up with our own list of good motives, and what happens? Parade and misery and depression, trouble with personal relationships, full of fear, unhappy, self-will. Still going up. Take a look at your own experience. Okay.
And then people ask, how do you know the difference between self-will and God's will?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And their world is crashing, and they want to know what's the difference.
Yeah, it's... yeah, I love that question. Okay, notice the next sentence. First two words are very important. It does not say most alcoholics. It says most what?
People.
Most people. See, so in these 2 pages, this description of what we call the actor, see, is not just about alcoholics. See, it's about the human race. So as we go through this, see, look at your own experience. See if this is you that they're describing. See, but you look around. Look at the relationships you're in, your bosses, your families, the family you grew up with, husbands, wives, all that. See, look at people that you see who are prominent and in the news. See, this can even be looked at in terms of nations, see, in states and stuff. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But first we want to notice, see, that it's not just about alcoholics. It says most people try to live by self-propulsion. Okay, everybody I'm sure has seen a picture of an ocean liner going across the ocean. See, what makes it move? 2 big propellers in the back underneath the water that you can't see. But that is what propels or moves the ship through the water. Okay, so self-propulsion, see, is what moves us through life. See, and let's ask ourselves, what are some forms of self-propulsion? Anger, fear, ambition, pride, sex, self-esteem, self-confidence, self-discipline, plans, dreams, goals, education. See, on and on and on. Where's all? See, what is all that? See, it's all forms of self-propulsion. It's how we're going through life, managing, directing, trying to get what we want, avoid problems, solve problems. Everything that we do, it's all based on that stuff. See, and what they're telling us here is most people do that. See, so you got to ask yourself, am I doing that? Is that the way I live my life? Self-propelled. Okay. What is turning your propellers? Okay. It says each person, not each alcoholic, is like an actor. See, what do actors do? They put on an act. Okay. They act as if. That's one of my favorite cliches in AA. Telling an actor to act as if. Each person is like an actor who wants what? To run the whole show. See? So this is the actor not satisfied with his or her role and wants to be the director. See? As well as the star. So, see, look at your life. See, look at the families, the marriages, all that. It is forever trying to arrange. See, arrange is a word they like manage and control. To arrange the lights, the ballet, the scenery, and the rest of the players in his own way. Okay? So, see, look at your life. See if you manipulate, control, and arrange people's lives. See, look at your own experience. Have you ever been in a relationship with any human being who tried to make you one of the players in their show? See, and what was your reaction when that happened? See, did you willingly oblige, or did your middle finger come up, see, and say, hey, wait a minute? Okay? How do you react when it's done to you? Look and see if you do it to other people. Okay? In his arrangements, they would only stay put. Say, live and play by my rules. My ideas, the way I see it. You don't listen to me. See, if only people would do as he wished, what would happen? The show would be great. Everybody, including himself, would be pleased. See, who thinks this? Be active. See, I know what's best for you. See, I know what'll work for you. Why do we give other people so much bogus advice? We think it's going to work. See? We believe it. See? We can't tell the truth from the false. Yeah, I'm sure you're good. This will work for you. Just do what I say. Da, 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 da. Look at your own experience. Okay? Everybody, including himself, would be pleased. Life would be what? Wonderful. You'll all be happy. Just listen to me. Trying to make these arrangements, our actor. See, may sometimes be quite virtuous. Everybody know what virtuous means? Good. It's just a nice word for good. Okay? Have you ever been in a meeting, where people like to talk about, well, just make a list of your assets. That's what you need to do. Look at your positive points. You ever heard that? Yeah, here it is. See, the book's already made it for you. He or she may be kind. Have you ever acted kind? Okay. Have you ever acted considerate? Have you ever been patient to a fault, generous to a fault, even modest, self-sacrificing, just really put everybody first? Make sure everybody else is real happy. That's the only way I can be happy. Okay, see? And what is it? It's all an act. No, these are my good points. No, these are my virtues. Well, yeah, we'll see. See? Do those virtues get you in collisions? See? Do those virtues produce collision and unhappiness in your life? If so, see, what's propelling them? Some form of self. All right. On the other hand, see, so remember alcoholics are Jekyll and Hyde. Here comes Mr. Hyde. On the other hand, he may be mean, egotistical, selfish, and dishonest. Okay? Now, every woman, for sure, every boss, for sure, other people maybe not, but every woman and every boss that ever met me, when they met me, saw very clearly that I was kind, considerate, patient, generous, funny, modest, and self-sacrificing.
Very funny.
Polite. See? All that stuff. That's what they saw. See? I went through life selling potential to people. See? I never delivered, but I always sold potential. Okay? And I did it that way, see, with my virtues. See? But it was all self-seeking. See? On the other hand, see, once people got to know me for a while, what they began to suspect and to find out is how truly mean, egotistical, selfish, and dishonest I really was. See? I couldn't keep it hidden. See? It kept popping up. Okay? See, so there's two sides to the coin of my personality. There they both are. See, in me they're both selfish, self-seeking. But as with most humans, he's more likely to have varied traits. So look at your own experience, your own personality. Do you have varied traits? Are you sometimes nice and sometimes mean? Are you sometimes kind and sometimes selfish? All that sort of stuff. Do you have a Jekyll and Hyde thing that you go through? Okay. Now, whatever your traits and however they vary, see, you may lean a whole lot more to kind, considerate, and patient than you do mean, dishonest, and selfish. See, anywhere on the spectrum. See, find out where you are. The next three words are, no matter where you are, see, what usually happens? See, it doesn't work. We're not happy. Age 52, stays put. Still trouble with the relationship, still all that stuff. What usually happens, the show doesn't come off very well. He begins to think, where does he or she think this? Life doesn't treat him right. See, this isn't fair. You ever gone, see, through a lot of self-pity? This isn't fair. People don't treat me right. I do so much for other people, and they just don't care, and they don't listen. On and on and on. He decides, notice what he or she decides, to turn his will and his life over to God. No, that ain't the decision, is it? See? So what decision do most of us make when we come to AA? To exert ourselves more.
Turn up Mr. Hyde.
Yeah. He becomes, on the next occasion, still more demanding, Mr. Hyde, or gracious, Dr. Jekyll, as the case may be. Gracious isn't such a good thing. A lot of us think that's a good thing. See? One of the definitions of gracious is condescendingly superior. Oh, she's such a gracious lady. He's such a gracious horse. That kind of thing. Okay. So do you become demanding, gracious? See, gracious is people-pleasing many times. You do that to get what you want. Okay. As the case may be. Still, the play does not suit him. And no matter what we do, we're still restless, irritable, and discontent. Doesn't work. Not happy. Admitting he may be somewhat at fault, he's sure that other not happy. Admitting he may be somewhat at fault, he's sure that other people are more to blame. Okay, I'll give you a good example out of my own life. I used to sit around generally drinking, smoking dope with my cousins and sister and brother, because I partied with them a lot. And we would sit and rag on this one aunt who was in common in the family, who was sort of like the queen bee in the Applebee family. Okay? And so I would say things like this: well, you all know that I'm not perfect. You know, I'm just a human being, and I make mistakes, and nobody walks on water, and, you know, I generally admit when I'm wrong and all that. But that bitch, God damn it. See, she always, nah. See, and everybody would go, yeah, right. Yeah. See, and we'd all sit there and do that. It's her fault. See, we're a little bit to blame. We're not perfect. See, and we generally do that. I looked at my own experience, took my inventory a lot on this. See, I generally admit I'm enough at fault simply to suck people into what I'm about to unload on them. So I get everybody nodding, and agreeing, thinking I'm honest, and then blam. See, I just let somebody else have it. It's a real manipulative kind of thing that I used to do. See, so admitting you may be somewhat at fault. Do you do that? See, he is sure that other people are more to blame than who? Me. See, it's my mom, it's my dad, see, it's the uncle that got me when I was small, it's that. See, it's somebody. See, it's always somebody else. See, yes, I have problems. Yes, I'm a little screwed up, but I'm working on my stuff. They're not. See, all that kind of stuff. See, it's their fault. I'd be happy if they just leave me alone. All those, see, infinite variations on that. Look at your own experience. Okay? So admitting you may be somewhat at fault, he is sure. Where are we sure of the things that we are sure of? Where is our main problem? Cannot tell the true from the false. See, we believe what we think instead of looking to see what's true. Okay? Admitting he may be somewhat at fault, he is sure other people are more to blame. Okay? Everybody see that word blame? Okay. Everybody got a finger that looks like this, an index finger? Hold up your index finger. Aim it at the word blame on that page. Put it right on the word blame. Once you got it on the word blame, slide it down to the end and cover up the E on the end of the word. And what does it say? Collision. Okay. Blam. What happens when you blame other people? Collisions occur in your life? See, how long have you been sure, see, that other people are at fault? More than you. Yes, I'm a little screwed up, but I'm doing it. Okay, he becomes, look at the order of this. See, I can see it especially when I'm drunk, but I can also see it when I'm sober. Number one, angry. See, when I get angry, I get very self-righteous and indignant. How dare they? Don't they know who I am? They don't understand. See, if they knew what was really going on, they wouldn't, you know, all that horse. See, and then if that doesn't work, see, I just sit there and counsel myself, and I end up full of self-pity. So do you get, see, in your own experience, angry, indignant, and full of self-pity? See? Does that happen very often in your life? So remember back page 60 or 52 about the misery and the depression? See, what generally do you do? What exercises do you go through when misery and depression have visited themselves upon you? Self-pity routines? That's generally what I do. See, full of self-pity. Oh, poor me. Nobody understands. God hates me. God took a hike on me. People don't believe me. On and on and on. Angry, indignant, and self-pity.
Good. What's a good definition of it?
Self-righteous. Okay, next sentence. What is his basic trouble? That's a question. See, so let's all cross off the word his and write my. What is my basic trouble? See, here I am in Alcoholics Anonymous, looking for a solution. See? But in order to find a solution, I really need to understand what my basic trouble is. It's not my drinking, it's something else. See, I need to be convinced, see, that if I run my life on self-will, see, I'm not going to be successful at this thing called recovery. Okay, so what is his basic trouble? Is he not? See, so what words do we need to put there for ourselves? Am I not? See, really. See, not falsely, not maybe, not sorta, not kinda, or perhaps. Am I not really a what? See, even when what? I'm trying to be kind. See, even when I'm just got my best, you betcha, love me dearly act going. Isn't it really about me, not them? See, this is a hard one to swallow for a lot of us. See, this is tough stuff we're talking about. See, so if you got some shit going on here, see, that's okay. Just be willing to have it, but be honest with yourself. Is he not really a self-seeker, even when trying to be kind? Even when I'm doing for others, to the utmost of my ability. And I really, really care, and I really, really mean it, and I really, really love them. Okay? Isn't it really self-seeking? Tough to swallow. Okay? Some of us have a harder time seeing that, because some of, I was a lot, as time went on, I was a lot more mean, egotistical, selfish, and dishonest, see, than I was kind, considerate, and gracious. See, but some of us have been kind, considerate, and gracious all of our life. And yet we're miserable and depressed and alcoholic and all that sort of stuff. See, so you got to swallow whatever your truth is. I had to swallow my own. See, it is never a sweet pill to swallow. Okay? So what is his basic trouble? Is he not really a self-seeker? See, it doesn't say what is his basic trouble. He hasn't put the plug in the jug. So that's not the basic trouble here. What is his basic trouble? Is he not really a self-seeker even when trying to be kind? Is he not a victim of the delusion that he can wrest satisfaction and happiness out of this world if he only does what? Manages well. See? So what do we do in AA? See, we never take step one. We keep trying to manage things. See? And as long as we are victims of this particular delusion, see, we can never get past step one. See? And so we are doomed to some form of self-propulsion. See? Trying to stay sober that way. See? We got to be convinced. See, and you might look, see, a lot of us come into AA thinking that we're victims, see, but, see, we don't think we're victims of a delusion. See, we think we're victims of society, our parents, see, what happened to us when we were kids, see, whatever the shrink or the counselor told us we are victims of. Yes, yes, you were mistreated. Yes, yes, you are mistreated. Yes, yes, you're going to be mistreated. See, in whatever form, see, we believe that stuff, okay? See, so we think, see, that's what we're victims of. See, the book says something totally different. See, the book says, see, is he not a victim? So yeah, we're all victims. See, but what we're victims of is a belief in an illusion. See, that's what a delusion means. Everybody remember that from chapter 4? See, that he can wrest satisfaction and happiness. See, now see, if you look at whatever self-seeking has gone on in your life, see, weren't you seeking to be satisfied and happy? See, some of us think we'll be happy if we make everybody else happy. See, that's self-seeking. Whose happiness are we really seeking fundamentally? Our own. Okay, so we don't admit that to ourselves. We think it's all about them. We call ourselves loving and they don't understand and they're unloving. See, that's a delusion. Is he not a victim of the delusion that he or she can wrest? See, have you ever seen wrestling? Everybody know what wrestling is? Okay, see, that's the root of wrest. It means to yank or twist out of something, pull it out of. He can wrest satisfaction and happiness out of this world if he only manages well. How much effort do you put into managing well in your life? You've got to be convinced it's not going to work. Okay? This next one is a real pride leveler, so try to have an open mind on the next sentence. See, is it not evident? Evident means plain and clear. Okay, so is it not evident to all the rest of the players that these are the things he or she wants? See, do they know that about you? See, look at your own experience. See, I generally, when I start looking at stuff like this, I turn it around and I ask myself, was it clear to me that my ex-wife was selfish? Yes, it was.